All right, so the very unfortunate day has come where it seems like Rafa is retiring. Not now, but he's basically signaled the start of the end at the press conference he just had about his chances at playing at Roland Garros, which he announced that he won't be. But he's announced that he's taking a break from tennis now to try and let his body get back to a place where he can enjoy playing in 2024. And he kind of signaled that that's going to be his last year. So tough to see. We all knew it was inevitable. All the big three, are eventually going to retire, but it doesn't make it easier when you get a sobering announcement like this. So we're going to break down the announcement. We're going to go through what he said and kind of give my thoughts on, the era of the big three coming to a close, which it obviously already did with Federer retiring, but now another installation of the big three seeming to start the end of the process of their career. So sobering moments as you see Rafa give an update to his fans, but we will do our best to recap it. Here is the slice. Retirement, the R word. We're not allowed to use that word. People get annoyed asking them about retirement. Rafa has been asked about retirement for probably 10 years now. Think about it, maybe even more. He's always had injury issues. 2011, 12, 13, 14. People have been alluding to his retirement that whole time, and he's been shrugging off. And look what he's done. Look what he's done. He's come out. He's at 22 majors. He's done all that while navigating injuries this whole time. But it seems like these injuries and the state of his body now is just too much. We've seen too many images like this one recently where in the middle of a practice, he's clearly in pain, not able to keep playing or practicing. And that's kind of brought him to where we're at now. So thanks for being here. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Welcome to the most comprehensive, the most in-depth, the most close to the pro players and coaches and tour show on the internet, The Slice. Thanks for being here. And shout out to our sponsors, CoolBet, who during our regular tournament coverage, which this is not, is really in the depth, helping bring the better access to the action. So let's get into it. Before I go through the article that kind of lays out the highlights of what he said, here's what I tweeted earlier. I wrapped up my thoughts saying the R word. And I said, for the big three, retirement doesn't seem real until it's happening. With Federer, even though the writing was on the wall for a long time, it felt like he'd always come back once more just because he'd been there for so long. Same with Rafa. We expected him to just find a way, as he always does. Rafa's literally given it all physically. He's taken a break. He's taking a break to then come back to say goodbye. That's how much he cares for the sport. That's how much he cares for you and me, the fans. So let's not be sad that it's ending, but be thankful that we had it. That's a cliche, very cliche, but that's how I feel. Anyone who's paid attention to the career of Rafa Nadal or Federer or Djokovic knows it's coming to an end, but especially with Rafa, time is limited. But, in my opinion, for the last 5 years at least, or maybe more of Rafa's career, we've been playing with house money. Like he'd already won so much. He'd already shown himself to be the greatest clay court player of all time without even a hint of a doubt. And then injuries coming back, always coming back though, and winning. Like I've lost count of how many majors he's won since he came back after the injury-riddled 2016 season. So he's come back, and every time I've watched him or any of the other guys, but mainly Rafa, you've just been like, I'm so lucky we get to see him play one more time. Let's not take this for granted. So I used to be, as you guys know, I started as a huge Federer fan before I got into tennis, broadcasting and journalism and covering this. But even in 2017, 18, 19, when Federer and Nadal were playing each other, I really didn't have any animosity. I was just thankful to watch these guys play. And it was just, in my eyes, the most interesting tennis that there's been. So being thankful for what Rafa has given us over all these years should be the main emotion right now. Sadness is obvious, but I don't think sadness can be the only thing. Obviously, it was always going to come to an end, and look at what he's been able to achieve. So it's not at an end, though. So let me just read what he basically said. I'm going to go through it. As you can see here, I think on the Telegraph, Rafa Nadal signals 2024 to be his last year as a tennis player. So he kind of signaled it. He didn't say it specifically. He doesn't know. But he basically said, I've worked as much as possible every single day for the last 4 months, but they have been very difficult months because we're not able to find the solution to the problem that I had in Australia. So today I am still in the position that I'm not able to feel myself ready to complete at the standards that I need to be to play at Roland Garros. I am not a guy who will play at Roland Garros and just try to be there and be in a position that I don't like to be. So he's obviously saying, I'm not just going to show up to Roland Garros just for the sake of showing up. If I'm going to show up, I'm going to only show up if I feel I can have a chance at winning, like I've already done 14 times. So that makes sense. He hasn't been able to train enough. Basically what I picked up, he hasn't been able to train enough pain-free at a level to get himself ready to play at this tournament. Continuing on. As far as wider plans, it was too many problems, too many times having to stop for physical issues, too many days of coming here practicing, but with too much pain. My position is to stop. So he said, in theory, he would like to play the Paris Olympics next year, but understands that any such objectives are contingent on how his body reacts. My goal and my ambition is to try and stop and give myself an opportunity to enjoy next year, which will probably be my last year on the professional tour. I don't know if I will be able to make that happen, but I think that the chances are much higher if I stop now. So he could be done. He could be done right now. It depends on how his body reacts. But his goal is to play next year. But as he just said there, he doesn't even know if that will be able to happen. And then he also said later on that, maybe I could win a slam. Who knows how good I'll come back. Maybe the body, fully figures itself out, and then I'll play longer. Who knows? So a little bit open-ended, but from the way he was talking and from the way that he isn't able to play Roland Garros this year, it does seem like this is not one of the injuries that he's been able to figure out and come back from. And obviously, I'm not an expert in this, but it does seem like the longer you leave the body at this age, at the age that he's at, it doesn't necessarily get better. It doesn't go down to a state of normalcy and then just get to rebound from there. If the parts of the machine are rusty and broken, are grinding together, rest will make you feel better, but it won't, I don't think, necessarily get you back to a place where you're ready to compete pain-free again like you used to. That's just why players retire, because their bodies just can't do it anymore. And what that means is they just can't play without pain anymore. They can't play at the level they did without pain anymore. So that's obviously, Federer had more of an acute thing, that kind of his knee, was just he couldn't play on that knee anymore. And Rafa's body, I forget what the original injury even was. It's just been too many things over too long. Obviously, his foot was the main thing. But now he has other issues that compound on top of that. So him being able to play right now is not an option really for him. And he said he's basically going to take a break in order to hope to come back, play next year on tour in 2024, and kind of do like a victory lap, like a farewell tour. So yeah, what do you guys think of a farewell tour from Rafa? I hope to see it. I don't know. It might make it more painful. When Federer retired, it was kind of just over all of a sudden. And then there was that incredibly emotional night at the Laver Cup. And then that was it. Now Federer's retired and we're all still sad. But what do you guys think? What's your reaction to Rafa talking? The great man talked to the crowd, to us, let us know where he's at, and that his body is just not allowing him to continue. So that's the slice on Rafa announcing the start of the end. And it's sad. I'm sad. But the writing was on the wall, like I said, and it makes sense. And I think he deserves a rest. 22 majors, 14 Roland Garros championships, arguably the GOAT. What else does he need to achieve? He deserves. The sad thing is, I think he says in the article, his mind and his competitive drive is still there to want to win more, to fight for more. And how could it not be if you think about it? Because he could have retired long ago, happily with the career that he had. But they're always fighting for more. These guys are just on another level of competition. And why would you want to stop? At the end of the day, 36, 37 is not that old in the grand scheme of things, obviously. So, but there's a time for everything, and it seems like Rafa Nadal's time is coming now. We will see how he's able to recover with more rest. So that's the slice on Rafa's announcement. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the miraculous. But we'll see what he can do. But anyways, that's all I got from there. Stay tuned to the slice for more updates on Djokovic losing to Holger Rune, the semifinals going down in Rome, Iga Swiatek's injury, much more. Check the links below for our Instagram, our website, and everything else that we do here at the Slice. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on